Go to camp. It's awesome. It's so much fun. There's gyms out there that don't allow their kids to go to camps. And you're really missing out on a cool opportunity. Go to camp, have a new coach you've never met before teach you something and tell you something in a little different way that really changes the trajectory of your gymnastics. Camps are really amazing.
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth. Go to
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the NGA podcast where we talk all things gymnastics. I'm your host, Rebecca Grady, and I'm here with my incredible co-host,
Dr. Ian Kreider.
Rob Axelrod.
That was so loud, Ian.
It's my commanding voice.
All right, so today we are talking summer camps, how to choose one, what to look for, and some things that maybe people don't tell you about them. We know that this is the time of year that parents are looking for recommendations. Gymnasts are trying to decide what's worth their time and what they're wanting to work on. So let's break down the different types of summer camps that you can go to and maybe what are some of the benefits and limitations of it. So before we even get into specific camps, I think the first question is, what is our goal for going into camp? Whether that's age groups, specific levels, like what kind of recommendations do you guys give to your athletes or parents?
Yes, I think it's about a few things. One, are you just coming to camp to have fun? Because there's certainly camps that are just tons of fun. Are you wanting lots and lots of skill work from really high level coaches? Because there's camps that do that. Are you wanting specific event help? So there's camps that are specific for events. And then are you wanting more than just gymnastics? Are you wanting help with, nutrition and injury care and those sorts of things? So there's camps that do mental performance. That's right. So there's camps that do all those things, and you just have to figure out what your goal is going into that.
Yeah, and I would say that, most clubs like, here at Ariel's, when we do our team camp, before I was up here working full time, I would be that person that would come up once a year minimum for their camp, for team camp, and we would bring in the best of the best, Mary Wright, Daniela Silvas, Caitlin Ohashi, me. But, like all these big name people, and the kids looked forward to us coming in. And we, after a while, got to know these kids, and we knew their goals and what they wanted to do. And we would actually do our goal settings with the kids in camp. And Mary Wright would do like a day where she would teach a vision board. And so the kids would actually make their own vision boards and put them in their room. We could do a whole thing actually on vision boards. I think they're great for kids. They put on a big cardboard thing, they put it in their bedroom, and it has all their things on it that they're trying to achieve and by when. So I think it's important to know that when your club is running their team camp, it's not really for a moneymaker. Like here for us, we just want to collect enough money to bring in the people, fly them in, put them up in housing and feed them, and then offer this high level coaches aspect to our own athletes for our team. And then, of course, there's other places where I would recommend our kids would go. Like if they're interested in going to a university to do gymnastics, then I would expect them to give me the list or help them with the list of where they want to go instead of expect them, and then send them off to those camps. But they need to be age appropriate. So that's where Miss Rebecca was talking about, the ages. If you're going to go to a college camp, they have to be entering into their junior year, summer of sophomore year, going into junior year. NCAA rules, June 15th, they can talk to them on the phone. July 1st, they can talk to those athletes of that age in person. So make sure that you're not spinning your wheels, spending money, flying your kid out to go to a camp, like say at Auburn or Tech, I'm trying to think of it, UCLA or Brown or any of them, because all of the universities offer camps. And then lastly, what I'd like to make sure that you are going to do, if you're going to recommend your athletes or your children to go to one of those camps for college purposes, make sure that the staff is there. I had a couple of kids go to schools that they wanted to impress the coaches, so to speak, and work with the coaches, see how they would like to work, how they work with those coaches to help them make a decision on what NCAA program they would like to pursue. And those college coaches weren't even there, or the head coach wasn't there, and maybe only one of the assistants was there or something. So those are things to look for. And then there are others, like, for example, we got the Peak Performance Camp that Dr. Ian runs, and he brings in some of the best people. We do it all at that one, right? There's every event plus nutrition, mental training. We do it all at that one. And so you have to look at those camps, which ones are going to be beneficial for what your child's trying to get out of it. If it's just for fun, we have our sleepaway camps. We have FlipFest, which we love, and we host NGA National Team Camp there. We have IGC. IGC partners with us here in Pennsylvania at a bunch of our meets, and we have lots of gift certificates that they give us to raffle off. So those are awesome. And the sleepaway camps, you have to remember, though, you're going into big groups. But it's that whole sleepaway camp thing. You make new friends at sleepaway camp that you'll have in gymnastics for life from other states. And I think that's really cool, because then when you show up at, like, let's say at the Rock and Roll into Gymnastics Nashville coming up down there in Tennessee, and you might run into some kids that you saw at sleepaway camp. So
yeah, those sleepaway camps are like they're that whole experience, right? So it's not just gymnastics. For sure you can get as much gymnastics done as you want to at those camps. And I think last time I was at FlipFest, if you did all the practices and all the extra open gym times and stuff, you could do like 26 hours of practice that week. So for sure, you can get all the practice in that you want to, but then you can also go fishing, or you can play paintball, or you can do a high ropes course, or you can make s'mores at the campfire. Yeah, get on a jet ski.
Or you could do all of those, and some gymnastics.
Yep.
So sleepaway camps are awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I went to FlipFest for the first 2 years that they were open, then I coached there for the next 4 years. So I can't say enough good things about them. They do such a good job, and the people there are amazing too.
I mean, they're so awesome. And my introduction to sleepaway camp was not as a kid, but as an adult. And it's where I met the owner of Ariel's, Rick Palumbo, and he owned Team USA Gymnastics Camp. And in fact, FlipFest, the boys that own it, John, they used Mr. Rick to help them build their facility similar to, based on like the Team USA Gymnastics Camp up in Port Jervis. And so that was really fun to watch that happen. And especially when I got to go to FlipFest, I'm like, wow, this looks just like it did, because I was their program director up there at 5 or 6 years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Port Jervis is fun when it's packed with gymnasts and gymnastics coaches, but not too fun during the winter months.
I could do that.
Same with Crossville, Tennessee.
Yeah, we're walking down to the office through, 8 feet of snow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's way more snow than Tennessee.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a ton of pros for these away sleepover camps, but what about the cons? Because obviously there's age groups. We want to really be sending little kids because they can't stay with their parents. So let's break that down.
Yeah, I'll go first. So the biggest con is homesick, right? Kids that are sleeping away for the first time. And we always made it a big thing up at Team USA that we were like not letting a kid go home for being homesick. It was so much easier back then because there was only one payphone on the property and nobody had cell phones. And if you did, they didn't work in the woods anyway, right? So they couldn't be like texting with mom or calling with mom and being homesick that way. They just got homesick. And, nowadays probably kids leave all the time. They like text their parents, come pick me up. I want out of here.
Right.
Or they get in a cabin with a bully or something, or just not. I hate to use the word bully, but maybe they get into a cabin with somebody and they have opposite personalities and they're button heads, or even with their counselor for that matter. So those are some of the cons. And the other cons are, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but sometimes they'll promote that we're bringing in like such and such Olympian, and the Olympian comes in and they're there for 3 hours and they leave. Whereas in some of these smaller camps, compared to sleepaway camps, they're like weekend camps. We bring in, I guess the easiest one for me to use is like Anastasia Webb or Caitlin Ohashi, and we bring them in here and they stay the whole week with our kids, or 4 days or 5 days, depending what our camp is. So they get a little bit more of a personal experience with them. We do a pool day at our camp here at Ariel's. We go to the pool for 4 or 5 hours, and all of those college coaches and Olympians, former Olympians, world champions, Olympic coaches, they all go with us. And it's like a really fun day on top of it. Yeah. So, when you see like, so-and-so is going to such and such sleepaway camp, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to meet him. And then like, you see him for like 10 seconds and you wave to him. You're like, there's no like personal interaction. So, but then again, there's some of those sleepaway camps that they'll do a week of a really big name and that person's there every day. So that's kind of fun.
It's true.
Yeah.
I would say any other cons would be one, like Rob said there briefly, that group sizes are usually pretty big at those camps, right? It's 30 or 40 kids per group. Now, granted, they have 4 or 5 coaches per group as well, but
Yeah, I
still, when you
mean,
have 30 or 40 kids, it's really easy to be the kid that gets lost and the kid that
but I
just
must
hangs out
say
on the
though, right,
bar and
at FlipFest, there's like 16 to 18 bar stations, so it's like they're still
yes.
getting bars done with 30 kids in that group.
Yeah. But it's easy to not get a lot done if your kid can hide really easy, right? They can be like, let me
Mm,
go hang out on this low beam for the next hour and never get anything done on beam, or let me go hide
Right, well,
on
right.
this
So
because
you need to be
strap bar.
self-motivated a
right, well,
lot
because
in
they're
Yeah.
there
those.
for camp. They're not there just for gymnastics, right? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you come into your
Yeah.
practice and you're here for 4 hours, you're here for gymnastics, you're not here
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
And then the only other con I would say for those sleepaway camps is because they need such a large amount of staff that not all the staff is going to be excellent coaches, right? And that's just the rule of averages, right? And if you just have to hire a bunch of people, you're going to have some amazing coaches and you're going to have some not so amazing coaches. But for the smaller camps, like my camp, like Rick's, or we get to hand select our coaches and only invite people that we want to coach. We don't have a
Yeah.
job application process on our websites that says, "Hey, you want to coach our camp? Apply here." We go,
right.
"Hey, here's my friend Rob. Rob, hey, do you want to come coach my camp? Great, cool, come on down."
Yeah.
So yeah, so you just get a higher quality, or hopefully you get a higher quality of coaching staff at the smaller camps versus the bigger camps. But again, I've been at FlipFest weeks where you just go, man, the talent of the coaching staff that's in here right now is just amazing. And then you have
Yeah.
some weeks where you're like, 90% of the coaches in here are college kids, and some of them know how to coach, and some of them don't know how to coach really well. And so it's just kind of hit or miss there, and it just depends on what group you're in and all that stuff. So certainly there's pros and cons to every single camp out there. Those are just some of the cons to those camps, or possible cons.
Yeah. And before we move on to like the next category, one overnight camp that we forgot to pull up was the new NGA Ireland camp that's going to be happening in July. And both of
Yeah,
y'all are going
I
to be there,
mean,
right?
Dr. Ian and I
Yeah.
are gonna be out there in
Yeah.
Ireland doing the
Yeah.
first international it's an open camp, which means that it wasn't by qualification, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. When we're hoping to open up new doors with a couple other countries and run camps and be part of their we have our international coaching staff, which is awesome.
Yeah. And if
Yeah,
your
super
family
fun.
is wanting an international trip for the summer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that could be a really cool one to go on.
Yeah, I think a couple of my girls are actually gonna be there, so that's kinda
Oh,
fun.
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really fun because you're getting to go internationally, like, through gymnastics. Like, yes, it's gonna cost you some money a little bit because the plane tickets and whatnot, and it's not like the true overnight camping experience because 'cause you're gonna be in a hotel, but if you go out there and you bring 4 or 5 or 6 of your girls, and I'm sure that they'll have some kinda get together with all the girls out there for camp. I don't know what the itinerary looks like, but we have some itinerary for the coaches to go do some things, so and the kids get to go do some things. Last year, we did the international team camp in the UK.
Hmm.
I happen to have one of my girls made it, so I got to go, and I also got to coach, out there, and we had, I think, 12 girls and 12 parents and 6 coaches, and we all did things together, and it was awesome. We went and saw some great churches and just some great history out there. So a lot of times, a lot was for the first of us to be in the UK for the first time, so it was awesome. And I think anytime you have that opportunity to go internationally, to go to a camp, through gymnastics, another great way to keep in touch or make new friends that you'll have for life. I know that, my friends that I have in gymnastics now, almost 40 years, is my bestest of friends, my only
Yeah. Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
All right, so let's transition to those short weekend or those day camps. I know we've touched on it a little bit, and there's some specific ones that we really like. So I think maybe one of the first ones we should talk about is you should bring up yours because I'm a little biased. I kind of like it because I get to hang out there.
Yep. Yeah. So I host the Peak Performance Gymnastics Camp in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hmm.
Rent out a gym space up there and bring coaches in, but not only coaches. So basically, kind of the way it looks is like on Thursday we do a half day of training, and then on Friday, Saturday they train in the morning, and then they have the education stuff in the afternoons. And so the education stuff is where Miss Rebecca talks about mental health performance. Carrie Bear will be talking about nutrition and nutritional performance. And then me or someone like me will be talking about injury prevention and how to stay healthy outside the gym as well. So, so we're going to be talking about all that stuff and trying to truly help your gymnast kind of holistically and not just in their skill work. So yeah, so it's the Peak Performance Gymnastics Camp. It's July 9th through the 12th.
Yeah.
Yep. July 9th through the 12th.
Why don't you tell everybody how many hours of gymnastics that they actually do a day?
Yeah, so they'll hit every event 4 times throughout the weekend. Let me take that back. For the younger ones, they come 3 days. For the older ones, they come 4 days. And so basically levels 1 through 4 come for 3 days. Levels 5 through 10 will come 4 days. And just the reason for that is so that way we're not way overdoing their basically training for the week. Because some of these girls are training, 9 hours a week, and then they're going to get 9 hours in 2 days.
9 hours in 2 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that can be a lot for them. And if we're going to preach on how to be healthy and how to prevent injury, the best way to cause an injury is to way overdo your training and increase your training substantially within a short amount of time. And so, yeah. So, as I'm thinking about how to run this camp, I go, well, yeah, why would I potentially cause injuries at this camp by doing this? And so that's why typically level 5 and up are training a little bit more hours. They can handle a little bit more workload. And that's why that group comes in a little extra. So the upper group hits every event 4 times, 45 minutes apiece. The lower group hits every event 3 times for 45 minutes apiece. And so it works out to about 12 hours in 3 days, 16 hours in 4 days. Plus, then they get the education stuff on top of that. We'll do activities and all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, so which is pretty cool. Like Ian said, our upper levels only do 16 hours. So if they did 16 hours in a week at a weekend camp, then that's fine because they're used to it. And, especially all of us here have been talking about never increasing frequency, intensity, and duration all at the same time. And that's exactly what we do in these weekend camps.
Yes.
We have a mini camp for our little kids that they can sign up from like 9 to 12, and the college kids kind of coach them, and they're like our pre-teamers and maybe even some of our like new level 3s coming in. But we do our whole gym for 4 days, and I break them down by level, and our coaches tailor it to those kids. Maybe they do a game, maybe they do some goal setting first. They talk about what they're headed for, and then they do some bars. So yes, we have to make sure that happens also when you're sending your daughters away to a gymnastics camp that's going to be pretty high level. They need to be ready for it and fueled for it, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which, to go back, not as a con, but sometimes these sleepaway camps don't have great food. People say, oh, camp food is terrible. And I think that the food in the department of like these sleepaway camps, they've stepped it up because kids are so used to, well, I'm going to get some. I'm just going to DoorDash Starbucks over here to my cabin.
Well, and I think that nutrition has become a bigger aspect of camp too as well. Yeah, like I think that they're starting to change that stuff. Rob, what's your camp called that you do again?
So we have the Aerials team camp, but then we do Supergirl. So we try to use the staff. Supergirl. Yeah, we try to bring the staff in that's here for our team camp, and we bring them for an extra 3 days, and that's June 20. Where's my fly here? Come on, Ian, help me out.
When? No, those
June
days.
20, 25, 20, 20, 25, 26, 27, 3 days. I should have just looked at my calendar here. It's fun. You come in here to Pennsylvania and you can get yourself an inexpensive hotel, and then you're only 40 minutes away from Philly. So there's lots to see and do.
Ooh, I want to go to Philly.
Yeah, lots to do in downtown Philly. A lot of fun.
And then there's some other cool camps too. Like
Just
obviously everyone knows about like the Beam Queen Bootcamp. And
yes.
Yeah, so there's some like event specific camps. So like you have Beam Queen Bootcamp. Yeah. You also have
Elevate. I think Elevate the Stage, or not Elevate the Stage. What's the one they?
Was it like Best Darn Beam or Best Darn Bars Camp or something out in Washington State?
And one of the things we also left out is for these college kids that are looking is they have these college showcase camps, which are really cool. So they used to run one at Hills. Yeah. I'm not sure if they're doing it anymore because it's getting harder to get the college coaches in there. But we used to get like 20 or 30 college coaches, and you go down there and you either wear a leotard that they gave you. That's the color of your year. So, and I think we did one in New Jersey. I used to go to North Stars all the time and do their college showcase. And there's another one. There's a preseason prep camp also in New Jersey, Arena Gymnastics. Those are all awesome camps, but you have to make sure again that they're the right age or if they're just maybe 1 year below trying to get on the radar, they have some specific requirements. You must have a minimum of 1D on every event so that when you get there, the college coaches can take a look, and we put the number down your leg so they can compare the number to your profile. And then at the end of the camp, what we like to do is coaches, we go up and we see what colleges signed out our profile for our athletes to see what they were looking and who was looking. And then that's a way we can contact those NCAA programs. So there's some other college showcases out there too. They run one at FlipFest also. They do a college showcase too, like at the end of their season there, I think, or might be even in October. So there's a lot of those type of camps. If you're looking and you're in that 9-10 level and you're looking to go to do an NCAA program, those camps are great too.
So when it comes to the recruitment specific camps, what do the athletes usually get out of that? Like, what do they learn about the schools? What can they expect? Does it help them decide whether they want to go there or not?
I mean, I would say yes, because when you go on an official visit I've gone on official visits with Sarah, but not all coaches get to do that official visit with their athletes. Just, Sarah happens to be like a daughter to me. So luckily I could do that. When you go, the kids usually get to spend a night with one of the athletes in their dorm, so they get to see what the dorms are like. The camp is allowing the kids to sleep in the dorms, whether it's with athletes or not, of course, with chaperones, but they get to see the equipment, how the equipment's laid out. Do they like the equipment? And then most of all, I think the biggest thing they get to see is a lot of the college team is required to work those camps. So they get to meet the teammates that they're going to possibly be a teammate with. But number one is they get to see the coaching style of the coaches that are running the program. And do they fit in with that coaching style?
Good. I haven't gotten to do a lot of college recruiting stuff because all my team is building up to that right now.
Yeah. I've been
anything that I've done has been too long
recruiting
ago.
for many years.
Well, I know a lot of like level 6s and maybe like a little bit lower. I know that they are really hyped about going to college camps.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing, because even though they're level 6 and 7s and they're maybe 10 years old, these kids are wearing leotards like LSU, Florida, Penn State, Auburn, all these different great schools. And they're like, really, I want to go here. And it's so hyped up on TV now. It's the great coverage we have of, women's NCAA gymnastics. So it's great. Let them go there. And maybe it just puts the seed in their head, like, hey, I want to go to Penn State, or hey, I want to go to, Auburn. I want to go to Michigan. And by the way, especially if you can afford it, I feel like they're pretty affordable types of camps. You get a little plane ticket out there and your kid gets to go to Michigan, or your kid gets to go to Auburn, or your kid gets to go to Arkansas, Maryland, LSU, Penn State, like Rutgers, all of them, they all have camps.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what would you say the little people, besides the awesome experience, would get from going to a college camp?
Well, they're gonna get great coaching, regardless.
Okay.
But I think it's just the whole camp experience of being at a college before they're ever at college, and being around those college athletes. Like, again, every one of those universities requires their college team athletes to work the camp. So, I mean, you imagine if you're like this 8 or 9-year-old kid and you get to go out there and you're at UCLA and you run into Caitlin Ohashi or
like one of your favorite gymnasts is like helping you on an event.
Jordan Bowers, cool. Like all the top name people.
Yeah. I remember doing a camp at the University of Minnesota when I was young, and it was just so cool.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota. It's close.
Are there...
Can you get myself a pop out there in Minnesota?
On the men's side of things, we haven't talked much about that, but on the men's side of things, there are a lot of the colleges will do what they call like a high performance camp, where it's just older guys that are going to those camps. And like, I know the Naval Academy does that. I've helped out at that camp a little bit. I think Simpson College does one. So there's colleges, universities that for the men's side of things that they'll do like these high performance camps where they not only do training with the coaches at that university, but they also just talk to them about like, hey, what does it mean to be a student athlete? What does it take to do that? What should you be doing right now in order to make it into college, right? And they give them some really good, high quality advice about like, hey, don't post random stuff on Instagram that you don't want your future college coach to see. And they just talk about like, hey, I need you weight training, or if you wanted to be on my team, this is what I tell people to do. Right.
Yeah, I just went over that whole thing with Instagram and posting. We could probably do a whole nother podcast just about college recruiting and what the do's and don'ts are and how to get looked at and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think I feel like we left out a little bit. I know we're naming all these big name camps, but let's not forget about these smaller. You know, you mentioned Simpson College, for the guys. You've got Westchester University here with Coach Barb. You've got Ursinus University out here. These are just here in Pennsylvania. With Coach Kim. You've got Penn State out here, obviously one of the bigger schools, but you've got Coach Sarah. And so all of those smaller universities also have you might have a D2 or a D3 athlete that is looking for a college, and they also do camps. So don't forget those D2 and D3 programs. There are spots out there for those athletes.
And we'll do a podcast coming up at some point about like, hey, what division is right for my gymnasts and what does college gymnastics really look like? And hey, there's different tiers of Division One. It's not all LSU and UCLA and Oklahoma, right? And there's lots of different options for gymnasts. So, I had this conversation with my gymnast the other day. It was, oh, well, I'm too late to the game. I won't be able to do college gymnastics. I'm like, well, hang on.
That's
Let's
not
talk about this.
necessarily true,
So
right?
we'll do a podcast about that.
Yeah, some of those kids think like, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't. But, hey, listen, maybe you can do a D2 school, and D2 schools have scholarships.
Yep.
So,
And
I mean, there's
Division
nothing
III
wrong with
schools
it.
get really creative with scholarships.
Yes, they do. And some of these D2 programs, are really great place. You could be like, the big fish, instead of the little fish in the big sea. You might be a great level 10, and then you get to college and you're like, hey, every 19 other kids on my team is just as good as me and I'm fighting for a spot. Or you could pop down to a really hopping D2 school and be the star on their team. So, and do all around.
Yep.
So there's lots of things we can talk about and keep kids like, hey, you don't have to be in the top 2% to get a college scholarship at the top 20 schools in the country, right? There are other options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think spiral that back to the best way to do it, go check out some of those camps, those college camps. Pick two or three that are affordable and go do them.
Yeah.
Yep. You might surprise yourself and go, oh, wow. You know what? This Division III school is really awesome. They have the academics that I want. Their coach is amazing.
Are usually awesome. Yeah.
I can do really cool stuff for their team and actually be on their team and not just on the sideline on a bench for 3 years and maybe compete my senior year. Yeah. So there's some really, really cool opportunities out there. So check out camps.
We have an adult here at Ariel's. She's been here since she's 19 years old, and now she's got 2 grown children, and one's doing really well, level 10 in boys gymnastics, and she's still working here at Ariel's. She went to Ursinus, Jersey girl who moved out here and never went home. So great little schools.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good experience with whatever kind of environment you're wanting to look for. So first thing we're wanting you guys to do when you're looking at camps is figuring out what kind of experience you want. Are you wanting to really focus on development? Are you wanting fun, maybe promote some independence with those overnight camps, exposure to colleges, recruitment camps if you're at that age? So if you have any interest in those types of camps, the ones we've discussed, we'll have some links in the captions for those so you can go and look at those. But remember, your local camps, also great. Those day camps, those smaller ones where you can really get some of that experience. Or camps like ours, Peak Performance, you want to come hang out with Ian and I, and Rob's Supergirl Camp.
You go on Action Gymnastics is on there. You go on the Instagram for SpringFest or Ariel's. I think you can see all this stuff there.
Yeah. And we'll put all that stuff in the captions so that you can go and reach out. And if you have specific questions, you can also reach out to us, whether through NGA or our own social medias.
Absolutely.
So is there any last final words that you guys have for camps?
Go to camp. It's awesome. It's so much fun. Like there's gyms out there that don't allow their kids to go to camps. And you're really missing out on a cool opportunity. Go to camp, have a new coach you've never met before, teach you something and tell you something in a little different way that really changes the trajectory of your gymnastics. Camps are really amazing. It's cool.
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth. Go to camp. That's what I would have to say. And we're one of those gyms that don't let kids go to other camps, so we always make them come to our camp. So we have to revamp that, right? We want them to go to sleepaway camp. They're more than welcome to. Obviously, we don't want them to go to the gym down the street camp. But if they want to go out to, Dr. Ian's camp, or they want to go out to Brian out in Louisiana, or so many different camps that are going on out there that are out of the state, we would love our athletes to go to those.
Agreed. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at the NGA podcast. If this helped you, share it with anyone who could benefit from the conversation, or you are still in the midst of your summer planning for camps. I will have all that stuff attached. And until next time, stay happy, healthy, and high performing.